Hello, we are live once again we're on Thursday the 22nd of January. What a day it is. Interesting market today. We've had so what you see on the screen here is today's session, the big blue box kind of in the middle there. So we've had a bit of a drop in the morning, followed by a big kind of push up into the top there, followed by a bit of a drop into the close here. So yeah, a bit volatile to say the least. Yeah, interesting. Let me get the kind of standard stuff out of the way. You can follow me on X at SeanTrades_, and obviously on YouTube as well. Well, I might need that up for a second while I do the kind of standard housekeeping bits and bobs here. I lost my voice slightly there. I'll speak a little bit louder for you all. Right. Where am I? Okay. Do that. And that. Where is... There we go. That's Edge4 platform. Today, obviously, we're going to be using the Edge4 platform as we normally do. My strategy is obviously the power hour breakout strategy that I use. So let's go ahead and cycle through the stocks first before we look at the data. See if there's anything near, the highs or the lows of the day. So let's go ahead and look at this then. So we've got Apple. Let's take off the initial balance breakout report as we normally do. So then what we're left with is market sessions, which again we'll get rid of, and the power hour breakout report. So obviously the green line is the highs of the day, red line is the lows of the day. You can see that Apple has broken the lows of the day, so that's now completely useless to us. Amazon is nowhere near the highs or the lows. Again, completely useless to us. Barber, right in the middle. Google has broken the lows, so that data is now no longer useful to us. Netflix. I mean, yeah, you could, but it's dangerous just because you've got this trend line kind of here, this breaks, and it comes back down to the lows of the day. Then you're kind of playing with a bit of fire there. So just be careful with that. Nvidia looking like it's going to break down the lows of the day. Now I mean, you could take this, but I would probably not, just because of the amount of confidence that's not on the chart. Also, it's just like I'm kind of breaking this trend line. But let's jump into the data while we're here. So what we're going to do is go to power hour breakout report here on the right, just above my head. And then we're going to jump into Nvidia. You can see that there's an 18% chance that it's going to be a new low of day made, but let's make this a little bit more niche and then go to, as you can see here on the left, we've got sub report. We're going to go to standard down to weekday. What that does is it filters out all of the Thursdays in the last 6 months, which you can see the date range is just here on the bottom left corner there. There's a 21% chance on a Thursday, 21.74 chance, 22, let's call it 22% chance a new low of day is made. So there's a 22% chance it comes back down below this line. I'm thinking with that candle there, it is very possible that it does that. SPY is continuously pushing down. We've got Meta. That would have been a really nice one actually. Still could be, because what we've got here is a nice range of resistance here. And then the high of the day is just here. So as we entered power hour, which is this vertical line coming through here, as we enter the power hour, we obviously have that as our barrier. So let's go ahead and look at the data for that. Go to Meta, simply by just tapping the watch list down there, which is behind my head, which you can't see. Whoa, what happened there? That's a bit too zoomed in. What is going on here? You can kind of see it next to me on the left there. To the left of me. There you go. So all I did was kind of tap on one of these. So this is Meta. You can see that there is a 8% chance on a Thursday in the last 6 months, 8% chance there's a new high of day. So there was an 8% chance it goes back above this line. Not bad. Cycling through to Microsoft then, kind of coming down to middle parts-ish, so not great data. Tesla was near the high, so you probably could have taken this as well, potentially. Just because you've got almost 3 peaks there. All across the top there, thereabouts. So you would get in the trade here, hypothetically, and have your stop loss above the high of the day. And your target would be somewhere down here. Now, the way we distinguish targets is by using, of course, the initial bounce breakout report here. Whoa, so many lines. This is a good example, actually. So this is the 5-minute chart. The first hour of price action today for Tesla is this tiny little box here you see on the screen. So that then populates the rest of these lines for the rest of the day, so you can see it's unique. Whereas yesterday, same thing, this box here was the first hour of yesterday's price action, therefore populated these lines, so a lot bigger in range. A lot of people can kind of trade between these lines. You can see that it's not perfect, but of course it kind of trades between these lines fairly well, finding a bit of support here potentially. But you can use that as a bit of as a target profit zone, but there's quite a lot of lines here. You wouldn't know which one really to go for. So let's bring in previous day's range. You've got previous day's high, which is this level here. So that's something you could aim at. It's a bit of a drop, to be fair, to come in, the last 20 minutes or so, but it's possible, of course. So let's go and get rid of that. So that's Tesla. So the only one we kind of got on the cards, really, I think, was Meta, which we've kind of already missed, because in terms of entry, you would have had a break of this trend line here. So this would have been perfect. I wanted to start streaming earlier. So you have the break of there. This is a break of the trend line. You enter here, then you're going to have your short position entered. Stop loss above the high of day, because that's where the price action goes, of course. And of course, the target price, you could have it down to these lows. And of course, if they break, come back down to maybe where these are. Or we just do what we've just spoken about with Tesla and use the initial balance breakout report levels there. So you could actually have your target profit zone just there. So we'll leave it there for now, see how that matures. We'll go back to Nvidia. Nvidia is bouncing off the lows of the day, which is really nice to see. And the US 500 is getting a bit of a bid here as well. Other stocks today have been doing quite well, actually. Quite refreshing to see. We'll go through them in a second. But of course, the details for Edgefield are all in the description down below if you're watching on YouTube, and of course as a comment on the X channel as well. So go ahead and check them out. And alternatively, you can go to edgefield.com. With my link, you can get a free trial of 7 days up until February, and then they're taking it away. So, jump in there, get it while it's hot, so to speak. This is the 1 minute chart actually on what we're looking at now. We don't normally look at that. Let's go back to the 5 minute chart. There we go, 5 minute chart. I've drawn a bunch of lines here on the screen. So do excuse me. So now we'll get rid of that. So you can kind of see we've got a bit of support here. This is nothing to do with the Edgefield platform at this point, but I'm just looking at the kind of general technical analysis for SPY here. Get rid of a couple of indicators. Previous day's range, broken through that already. EMA trend. get rid of some lines. These 3 lines coming through at a diagonal are just 3 random trend lines that I kind of drew throughout the last couple of days. You can see I've drawn through there. This one's already been broken by the looks of it. We'll get rid of that. This one here's a bit more longer term, so we might drop down to see that potentially. That's the lows of the day if we do continue dumping. But yeah, we do have the initial balance breakout, the first hour of trading, but the retracement lines here, which are trying to be respected at this point, but not overly successful right now. But what I wanted to do is have a look at some stocks elsewhere. We'll jump into the daily chart. Let's do that. So we've got some numbers here on the right side. Some big numbers. We've got Enphase up 12%. Nice to finally catch a bid. I'm in this. Hopefully that continues. Target price of about 63, 64. Barber doing well continuously. Path bouncing off of the lower part of the channel there. That's good to see. HIMS continuously being beaten up. This is the daily chart, as we've just mentioned. But yeah, continuously being beaten up. A little bit of support here at 27. We did some analysis on Sunday around HIMS, so this could be a potential point to add. Not like right here, but this kind of area between 27 and 30. I'm not personally. I think I've got enough of HIMS. So I'm going to leave it as it is for now. But that was an area of interest for me, but it's not where my cash wants to be right now. Snapchat had a nice push in pre-market, kind of subsequently come down since then. Otherwise, my trade is doing okay. That's not my trade though. I entered up here somewhere. This might have been a video I did. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Do I have it on here actually? Might be. I'll have it on here. No, I do not. Where's my list? Here we go. Tesla doing really well. So I sent out a tweet earlier as well around how Tesla on the weekly chart looks very interesting. Well, that's a lot of lines. On the weekly chart here for Tesla, so that's really nice support there. We've got the volume profile. We've got a couple of trend lines which I couldn't make my mind up, so I drew them both. Really reacting nicely off there on the weekly chart. I do think Tesla could do quite well this year, given the robotics side of things and AI side of things seems to be accelerating, in my opinion. Grab at the bottom of this channel. Got a lot of work to do to get to where I want by the end of the year. I'm thinking about buying some calls in this, some long dated calls, leaps, whatever you call them. Looks like we got a bit of a push on SPY into the close there. Little bit of a push. Still got 15 minutes of price action. NIO, will not move, will it? Stubborn. Amazon doing pretty well actually, all things considering. Some other stocks in the bit Mag 7 have pulled back quite a lot in the last couple of weeks, especially Apple, Meta, Microsoft, and I've done the same. But this one's holding this trend line for now. Wouldn't mind. I think I bought a couple Monday. Yeah. So looking for that to kind of move up. That would be ideal, I think. So Lucid had a really good day yesterday, but I don't think it matters. I mean, it hasn't done anything for months now. Joby, not bad. Nvidia, not too bad. Well, Nvidia's a little bit stuck at the moment. I think it's kind of trading, accumulating at these ranges, which is nice to see. So you've got a bit of a trend line there potentially to kind of pop out of. So just be aware of that. Rivian calming down after it's kind of push up. Quite normal, but we do need to see a bit of stability around $16. I think that's really important. Going into the next earnings call, which is probably not that far actually, 12th of February. I'll be covering that on the channel. Don't you worry about that. I'll actually be here for that. So last time I was in Malta in the last earnings call, so I actually physically couldn't do the earnings call, which was a shame because it wasn't too bad. Anyway, let's go back to the main bulk of the stream here. So we've got SPY pushing up into the close. Let's have a look at our position for our potential position for Meta. Yeah, it doesn't look great in terms of what would have happened. We didn't actually take it. But of course, we did mention the fact that the percentage on that would have been just 8%, according to Edge4's platform there, which has taken the data from every single Thursday in the last 6 months. The 8% chance it goes back above this line, which, given the little push we've had in the SPY, may break to the highs. Now, what you could say is, Sean, what you get in here on the retest, clearly of the another resistance line. I just don't want to right now. Not with SPY moving up. Everyone's different, of course, but that would have been. So you could have again entered here if you wanted to, on the retest of resistance, and had that stop loss even tighter. That probably would have been a good idea, but you know, hindsight's 2020. And just the way that the SPY is moving right now is reacting nicely off of this low, off of this trend line actually that I've put here for now. Probably find a bit of resistance around this volume profile and the moving average. I don't think it'll last too long. That's the daily chart. I wonder how Bitcoin's doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days down. A couple of flat days since then. How's the weekly looking like? Still going up. A bit of a bear flag there. Yeah, be careful of that if you're on Bitcoin. But really, it hasn't actually moved from a chart perspective for about 14 months. Think about it, back here in November, we were at the same level then. And that's about 14 months worth of price action. I mean, however, we do have this long-term trend line here for Bitcoin. So maybe if we do break this bull flag to the downside, this sort of area around, let's say 82,000, that would be nice potentially to go long. Potentially. I don't have a position in Bitcoin personally. Not yet, anyway. Okay, let's have a look around. Oh, so this would have been really tricky because the Nvidia data for Edge4 here. So if we go to the data here for Nvidia, now by doing that, we can obviously we've already got everything saved here for on the left side by weekday Meta, but we will switch it to. I don't know why I'm doing that. Switch it to Nvidia by going to the watch list down here, which is next to my face. There you go. And then of course the data comes straight up every Thursday in the last 6 months. You can see that there's a 22% chance, which is quite high for a single stock. Quite high, I think. So I probably wouldn't have taken that because I like to be below 20, close to 15 for single stock data. The 22% chance that this stock would have gone down below this line. And actually, technically, according to TradingView, it did. Just above my head there is a tiny little nick down. You see that? Probably just about. That little nick there. So that technically is against the data. However, if you did get in at those lows and you've got your stop loss just below the power hour, so the lows of the day, but your stop loss just there, you're still in the trade. You're just not trading with the data. You'd be doing pretty well, rebounded really nicely. Nice push into the close actually for Nvidia. Got this trend line this daily trend line to kind of break through now, though, which should be interesting. But given the move it's made off of, that's broken this trend line, come back down, making the move off the support, that's really, really strong. So you'd expect it to kind of push through there in about 10 minutes or so. Ooh. Another thing you can do on Edgefault is play around with the watch list section. So on the left side of the screen here, you've got this little telescope. Alternatively, you can actually tap on the little arrows here in the top left-hand corner. And then you've got all the titles there for the tabs. But today we're going to be looking at watch list. I say today. Right now we're going to be looking at the watch list. And you can see what I've got on the right here. So potentially for demonstration purposes, we can take away the barber. That gets rid of it from the list, and it also gets rid of it the list down here in the bottom right-hand corner next to my face there. So let's zoom back out and let's zoom back in. Let's type in Alibaba. What do you mean tick on not found? Okay, right. I'm selected on futures. So anyway, select on stock and then go Barber. And there we go, Alibaba coupon, and just tap on the plus. That then adds it to your list there. And of course, subsequently adds it down to the bottom right there. So then what that allows us to do is go into Power Hour Breakout Report. And then it allows us to go down to bottom right hand corner. You won't be able to see it because I'm there, but I'll zoom slightly. What I did was tap on Barber, which again you can't see because it's still not zoomed in. Oh my, what is going on? There we go. You still can't see it because the stream is slightly cut off, but you can poking at the bottom of the screen there. So you select that, and of course you've got the data straight away. And what it does with the watch list is what I'm trying to get to. The point here, you just tap through lots of different ones, and you can get the data straight away for you. Personally, I like to, what I do is kind of go into the charts first, and then I'll look at the high of the day and the low of the day, and I'll just cycle through them to see if they're near the highs or near the lows, just before the power hour, just before the last hour of the day. Not now, because there's only 7 minutes left of the market. Market. Pushing up into the close here. We do have a trend line. Looks like to be broken there. It's not really a trend line, it's only had 2 points, but it's still 2 points that have been touched. Coming back up into the halfway point of the initial balance breakout. This is the first hour of trading. This is the halfway point of that trading. Of course, we are finding a bit of resistance here, and I think I mentioned there might be resistance on the other chart there. I've got two different styles of charts. I wonder what I've got news-wise. Let's have a look. We have nothing. Got Intel earnings tonight, and the New Zealand CPI, which will not affect the American market. Interesting to see how Intel does though. With the what's the stock price at the moment? It's one of those stocks that kind of just peters on in the background for me. Oh, not bad. Look at that. Oh wow. So this is frustrating. I draw these zones of accumulation and I just don't buy them. Really handy. But you can see, I mean, I've spoken to Kay about this one in the past as well. So you can see if you've got in somewhere here just randomly, you'd be up 142%, really? Oh, I'm on the weekly chart. That would make sense. Still, though, phenomenal from Intel. Going into the daily chart. High anticipation for earnings. Perhaps we get a bit of a drop. No. That's just, don't take that as gospel. No, I'm not interested in them. These stocks down here, though, in this bottom section of my closer watch list, these are the ones I'm kind of interested in, but I'm not in. That makes sense. The ones above, I'm in. So if you're interested to see what I'm in, that is what I'm in. Look at that. Well, Meta with a good couple of days. Didn't even notice that. Oh, look at that. This trend line comes in to save the day once again. Spoke about that on Sunday, actually. TEM, SoFi coming back up probably for the retest for the downside potentially. AMD doing really well, nice. Oscar. And the people are still talking about this name, Oscar. Maybe they are. May have just temporarily lost connection there. I was just saying that I wonder if people talk about Oscar anymore. Because we've got a bit of a trend line support there. Trend line, that's not the best trend line. Oh, well, actually, bring that down, wouldn't you? Yeah. Because that's not a clean break. Probably bring it down to there, actually. So playing in between this, it'd be one to watch though, because when it moves, it really does move. So you can buy some calls a couple of months out, maybe. Rubrik, forever frustrating, but I like it in this area. I noted that on Sunday. Google, yeah. Anyway, go back to chart. See it out for the day. A couple of minutes left in the market. In fact, 1 minute left in the market. Let's have a quick zoom around. Apple breaking on the lows of the day, so that data would not have held, although it didn't hold about 30 minutes ago. Amazon kind of recovering a little bit, but nothing too dramatic. Barber right in the middle. Google already broke the lows, but coming up nicely. In fact, actually, I think the last time we looked at Google, it was down here. So it's actually bounced. Netflix having a little bit of a bounce as well into the close. Nvidia, that's the one that's probably driving it. Breaking out of this trend line, as we just mentioned about 5 minutes ago. If it gets through this, then that's good. But the reason I thought it was going to get through this trend line was because of the strong bounce we had off the support. So just that momentum really does carry it through. People get excited and buy, essentially. Lots of resistance here though, so that could be troublesome. But I mean, we're closing in 2 seconds, so that's that. And look, we have Meta did break the highs of the day in the end, so that's a good thing. You know, you get a feeling about where the market is going and how it's reacting, and that's the kind of feeling you get there. So I didn't take this trade because I felt the strength was there in the SPY, therefore it may portray it in Meta. It's not always the case, don't get me wrong, but I felt that I didn't feel comfortable taking it because of that reason. And I think that's an important rule for any trading, really. If it doesn't feel right, don't take it. Yeah, so Meta closing the day near the highs, but not at the highs. Tesla, whoa, look at that. Tesla breaking up through the highs of the day in the last 5 minutes there. So yeah, we've got that resistance here, as we mentioned, on the US 500, which is the SPY. This is the futures version, which is why it's still moving, if you're wondering. So I anticipate maybe a little bit of downside from that. I wonder what Intel do I have. That might be what's driving that price action there. I don't think it's a huge part of the S&P anymore. When does it say it's going to be released? It tells me. Not that I'm here for that. 9 o'clock, yeah. Oh, it's right there. It looks like a beat on revenue. EPS is 0.12 down. Just EPS. It's not comparisons as such. Oh, here we are. Wolf is, of course, Wolf. Fantastic. Revenue, good. Good on revenue. Outlook, not so good. Oh no, 11.7 to 12.7 billion versus. Oh, so they're giving a range instead of an actual number, but that range is a lot lower. No, it's not bad. I wonder what the stock price is for Intel. That's not a representation of the stock price. Let's go to the hourly. Down. Did mention it might be down. It's not down that much though. 54 to 51. That's not too bad at all. But yeah, anyway, we've covered that. We don't normally cover the earnings, but yeah, maybe we will in the future. Who knows? Thanks for tuning in. I know we didn't take many trades, but we did talk a little bit about the Edgeful platform. If you are interested, of course, you do have a link down below in the description if you're on YouTube. And as a comment, if you're watching on X. So go ahead and check it out. You get a 7-day free trial with the link up until February. They're cutting that off in February. But edgeful.com, otherwise, check it out. A really intuitive platform. Loads of different strategies to kind of play with. But for me, obviously, I use the Power Hour Breakout Report because I'm in the UK. And it just makes it more accessible for me to kind of actively trade. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and see you in the next one.